about today, and then tell me if we got it right, if I got it right. One is, I heard we need more data, more science. We don't collect enough data on the falls and the injuries. We've got to come up with a way in which we can make that happen. Somehow, we have to be able to fund new research. We have to plug into the manufacturers and to the universities to help begin to solve this problem. These all kind of operate on an independent basis right now, kind of on an ad hoc basis, and if there's a way that we can kind of coordinate that, where we can gather data and assist in providing funding for new research, that would be a very, very good thing. By way of example, the USEF for the last couple of years has been working with the University of Kentucky on jump research, jump design research. How do you build a cross-country fence that looks like it's made out of a huge real log that was 150 years old, but if a horse gets into trouble, the whole thing falls apart? And so we've had this 2-year project with the university going on, which is yielding really, really interesting results. And some of that technology is now actually being used in some of the new course designs. So there's a collaborative effort that, that we've entered into with the university, and how do we take that model and make it work for the topic that we've come up with today. USDA, USEF, USDF collects a lot of data. We've got a ton of membership. So does racing. So does the regulatory body in racing jurisdictions like Kentucky. How do we plug all of this research in together? How this data collection, not research? How do we connect all this data collection? And can we come up with a way of which that can all be parked into one place where we all have access to it, and where smart people can take a look at it and be able to make some decisions about where we need to go? So how do we do that? Maybe it's the Jockey Club.
Jockey Club's committed to doing a rider injury database. They're concerned about HIPAA and getting around that. So, we had that meeting in June at Keeneland, and so it's been 6 months, and we've had we discussed it last 3 weeks ago. They're getting closer, but they're still in the process of developing it.
Okay.
And dealing with insurance. They've been waiting on the insurance and getting the information from all the insurance carriers.
Well, maybe one of the homework assignments coming out of this is how do we plug what happened here today into this next meetings with the Jockey Club, because they've got all of the smart guys in the world over there to be able to do that. So,
and you got our commitment to follow, be involved.
Absolutely. So more data, more science, bullet point number 1. Number 2 is lots of education. We really need to educate people about this. We talked a little bit about at lunch today about one of the ways that we could affect change with helmet rules within the USEF is to immediately pass a rule that makes it mandatory that you don't come onto the showgrounds without a helmet. I don't think that'll happen. I don't think that'll happen right now. We have our annual meeting in 2 weeks. We could amend a rule change, and I hope to get that done, but I think it probably wouldn't work because there's an important component that we're being left out. We've got to educate people. We've got to tell them why this is a really good idea. This last year, just again by using an example, our drug and medication policies at the USEF have allowed for the use of 2 non-steroidals, stacked non-steroidals, and we've been doing that for 50 years. And so we made a rule change last year that would not be implemented until the beginning of this competition year, going from 2 to 1. And it took 1 year to begin to educate everybody. And I don't even think we got it all done, but we did a lot of work in a 1-year process to be able to explain why 1 is better than 2. It's better for the horse, and at the end of the day, 1 provides the same kind of recuperative help as 2. So I think the education is a big part of this. I think to get buy-in, we've got to educate. Now, at the same time, I think if we do set a date amongst our respective organizations, the date needs to be set out there. People need to know what's going to happen when. And so we need to talk about timeline and about how all that works. But we all need to educate a whole lot differently. And then the last part, I think the last key element, the thread, is just the whole implementation phase. Easy to regulate after everybody's been educated. But there's one other point in the implementation phase which we really kind of touched on, but we haven't talked about to any great degree. And this is the marketing part of my brain. And that is, we've got to make using helmets cool. They have to be accepted because they're cool. John and Beasy talked about going skiing earlier this season, and I had an opportunity to be out in the Rockies. I grew up on skis, and I am amazed at the number of people that are wearing helmets today. And when I talked to my colleagues at US Ski and Snowboard, I said, how did you guys do this? Why is this happening? They said, we really didn't do anything. The helmet manufacturers made the helmets really cool. And the helmets are looked at as being not so much as a safety device, as an accessory to their ski wear. It serves both things. And you can personalize the helmets. You've seen these if you've been on the ski slopes before. And if they can do it, we can do it. And if we can get old guys like me that have been skiing for 9,000 years, all of a sudden decide to go out and spend $180 on a helmet, we can do the same thing in our sports as well. So there's a coolness factor, at least on the equestrian side, and certainly I think probably on the racing side. It's got to look good or they're not going to want to wear it. We've heard that before. So there's this whole marketing coolness that has to be made acceptable to be able to really make that work. So those are my takeaways. More data, more science, kind of all in one bullet point. Bullet point number 2, we need to educate all of our respective audiences, and 3, we need to think about this implementation plan that requires the use of a helmet. It's not optional, and everybody knows the date in which that's going to happen. And as part of this implementation, we've got to have a cool factor in it as well, and we need to think about it in those ways. So those are my takeaways. Now the question for you guys, for all of us, I guess, is where do we go from here? I mean, what do we want to do with this? Do we want to break up into smaller groups? Not now, but do we want to take these threads and come up with some specific action plans as to how to make this go forward? I would say from the Federation standpoint, we are prepared to put behind our full resources to push together and to make a helmet rule a requirement in our federation over the next 12 months. So we're going to do whatever it's going to take to get that done. And if we can help in any other way in terms of communication or marketing or website development or act as a hub for information that we might be all able to exchange, we'd be fully prepared to do that.